Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1. So in this video, we're going to present about assessing speaking. But before that, let me introduce our group members. My name is Rosa Amelia Shafira, and my partners are Melda Srijani Watmia, Rizka Nurziza Rosella, Muhammad Fadil, and
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Fadli. In this presentation, I will explain about basic type of speaking. Imitative performance is the ability to simply parrot back a word or phrase or possibly a sentence. The only role of listening here is in the short-term storage of a prompt. And then intensive. It employed in assessment context is the production of short stretches of oral language designed to demonstrate competence in a narrow band of grammatical, phrasal, lexical, or phonological relationship. And then responsive. It includes interaction and test comprehension, but at the somewhat limited level or very short conversation, standard greeting and small talk, simple requests and comment, and the like. And then interactive. The differences between responsive and interactive speaking is in the length and complexity of this interaction, which sometimes include multiple exchange and or multiple participant. And then extensive. Extensive oral production tasks include speechless oral presentation and storytelling. And then micro and macro of speaking. The micro skill refers to producing the smaller chunks of language such as phonemes, morphemes, words, collocation, and phrasal unit. The macro skill imply the speaker focus on the larger element, fluency, discourse, functions, style cohesion, nonverbal communication, and strategic option. And then designing assessment tasks. Imitative speaking. There are several ways to scoring imitative speaking, which is silence, seriously, and then incorrect pronunciation, and then comprehensible, partially, correct pronunciation, and then acceptable pronunciation. And then, well, I think that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Fadil and I will explain the material about designing assessment tasks. Intensive speaking. At the intensive level, test takers are prompted to produce short stretches of discourse, no more than a sentence, through which they demonstrate linguistic ability at a specific level of language. Intensive tasks may also be described as limited response tasks, according to Madsen in 1983. There are 5 types as tasks in designing assessment tasks. The first one is directed response task. In this type of limited response task, the test administrator elicits a particular grammatical form or a transformation of a sentence. Such tasks are clearly mechanical and not communicative, but they do require minimal processing of meaning in order to produce the correct grammatical output. The second one is read aloud tasks. Intensive read aloud tasks include reading beyond the sentence level up to a paragraph or two. This technique is easily administered by selecting a passage that incorporates test, spec, and recording the test taker's output. Okay, the third one is sentence or dialogue completion tasks and oral questionnaires. Another technique for targeting intensive aspects of language requires test takers to read dialogue in which one speaker's lines have been omitted. Test takers are first given time to read through the dialogue to get its gist and to think about appropriate lines to fill in. And the fourth is picture cue task. One of the more popular ways to elicit our language performance at both intensive and extensive levels is a picture cue stimulus that requires a description from the test taker. Pictures may be very simple, designed to elicit a word or a phrase. Somewhat more elaborate and busy or compose a series that tells a story or incident. And the last one is translation of limited stretches of discourse. Translation is a part of our tradition in language teaching that we tend to discount or disdain, if only because our current pedagogical stance plays down in its importance. Translation methods of teaching are certainly based in an era of direct approaches to creating communicative classroom. But we should remember that in countries where English is not the native of prevailing language, translation is a meaningful communicative device in contexts in which the English user is called on to be an interpreter. Also, translation is a well-proven communication strategy for learners of a second language. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, I'm Leslie Janeru Watmia. I would like to explain about designing assessment tasks responsive speaking. Responsive speaking divided four tasks. They are questions and answer, giving instructions and directions, paraphrasing, and test of spoken English or TSE test. The first test is questions and answer. Questions and answer can consist one or two questions from interview. They are intensive and responsive questions. Intensive questions is to elicit a predetermined correct response, and responsive questions is to produce meaningful language in response. To make a clear look at the example. Next, giving instructions and directions. It is the simple technique because the administrator puts the problems and test taker response. The topics of the test focus on linguistic competence and test takers to produce 5 or 6 sentences. To make the score, the test based on primary comprehensibility and grammatical or discourse category. These are examples of giving instructions and directions questions. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is the taste taken with or hear a short story or descriptions with a limited number or sentence and produce a paraphrase of the story. And the last is taste of spoken English or TSE test. The function is to elicit oral productions in various discourse rather than in selected phonology, grammaticals, and lexical target. And the tasks include descriptions, narrations, summary, giving instructions, comparing, and contrasting.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Rizka Nurziza Rozala. I want to explain about designing assessment talks, interactive speaking. The obvious difference between the two sets of tasks is the degree of interactive with an interlocutor. Okay, there are 5 ways of scoring in the interactive speaking category. First, interview. Second, role play. Third, discussion and conversation. Fourth, games, and the last ACTVL oral proficiency interview. Okay, interview. A task administrator and a task taker sit down in a direct face-to-face exchange and proceed through a protocol of question and directives. Michael Cannell suggested that test takers perform at their best if they are led through 4 stages. 1. Warm up. 2. Level check. 3. Probe. And 4. Wind down. Okay, role play. Role play is a popular pedagogical activity in communicative language teaching classes. Although role play can be controlled or guided by the interviewer, these techniques takes test takers beyond simple intensive and responsive levels to a level of creativity and complexity that approaches real-world pragmatics. Okay, discussion and conversation. As formal assessment devices discussion and conversation with and among students are difficult to specify and even more difficult to score. As informal techniques to assess learners, they offer a level of authenticity and spontaneity that other assessment techniques may not provide. Okay, games. Among informal assessment devices are a variety of games that directly involves language production. As assessment, the key is to specify a set of criteria and a reasonably practical and reliable scoring method. Okay, and the last, ACTVL, Oral Proficiency Interview, or OPI. The best known oral interview format is one that has gone through a considerable metamorphosis over the last half century, the Oral Proficiency Interview. The ACTVL Oral Proficiency Interview is currently used worldwide by academic institutions, government agencies, and private corporations for purposes such as academic placement, students assessments, program evaluation, professional gratification, hiring, and promotional qualification. Thank you.
Oral presentation. For oral presentation, a checklist or grid is a common means of scoring or evaluation. For example, like a picture on our PowerPoint. Next is picture cued storytelling. One of the common techniques for eliciting oral production is through visual pictures, photographs, diagrams, and charts. Retelling a story and news event. In this type of task, the test taker hear or read a news or a story that they are asked to retell, and this task differs from paraphrasing task discussed. Last is translation. Translation of words, phrases, or short sentences was mentioned under in the section of intensive speaking, and longer texts are present for the test taker to read in the native language and then translate into English. And criteria for scoring should therefore take into account not only the purpose in stimulating a translation, but the possibility of errors that unrelated to oral production ability. Okay, it's the end of our video presentation. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.